Welcome to NecroCity, where... That's right, don't let its charming art style and delightfully quirky Halloween soundtrack fool you. Behind its spooky, albeit colorful facade, NecroCity is about an hour's worth of content that's been stretched into 10, and just in time for an early access release on April 5th. Now, this isn't to say that NecroCity is dead on arrival. No, in fact, I think this wave-based RTS/tower defense hybrid has a solid foundation and the potential to one day be at least good. But as my 15-part scoring system will illustrate, NecroCity has a long way to go. First up, NecroCity's plot is okay. You're a kind-hearted, if simple-minded skeleton prince who's eager to escape the shadow of your king brother. One day, King Bro relents to your whining and gives you control of a small region to guard against attacks from the living. As you prove yourself, ghoulish heroes are gradually drawn to your cause and you can deploy them in battle. In between and during missions, these undead heroes ironically add some life to the game's campaign, but they're nothing noteworthy and neither are their silly, typo-ridden text-based conversations, which I found mildly amusing if forgettable. Speaking of forgettable, let's talk gameplay. As noted earlier, NecroCity is half RTS, half tower defense, meaning you can build a base and control units during real-time combat. But your enemies are wave-based and spawn on set timers, and you can manipulate the game's clock. The resulting combat is, in my opinion, repetitive and underwhelming. There aren't many units for you to build or battle, and the predetermined waves you face are so easy that I was able to sleepwalk through almost every mission on 3x speed with roughly the same strategy. Thus, the game's difficulty will need heavy rebalancing before this city becomes worth a visit. As for NecroCity's city building, you'll start each mission with only your ziggurat. If that goes down, it's game over. You'll then use cheap obelisks to scout the map for the game's 3 resource nodes that mine themselves, assuming you have the requisite number of workers and power level. You'll then convert your mined resources into swords, crossbows, and magical whatevers that are used to arm workers turned soldiers. If they're not enough, and they probably will be, you can supplement your base with towers, traps, and those goofy ghoulish heroes I mentioned earlier. In general, I found the building system and resource management mechanics in NecroCity to be smooth if simple, though the UI currently lacks a number of tooltips and descriptions, making it hard to determine what's what. But that's a pretty easy fix. As far as content is concerned, I'd like to see more in-game objectives and game modes added. As is, there's only wave-based campaign missions, and they currently all feel indistinguishable, due in part to the game's copy-paste level design. There is treasure scattered about the map, but after upgrading your resource nodes, you'll never feel that pressure to go find it. As the game progresses, you'll begin facing mini-bosses every few missions, but my troops typically nuke these nerds so fast that I sometimes forgot they were there. That brings us to style. NecroCity is visually charming, and its colorful palette meshes wonderfully with its spooky harpsichordy score. However, the game's sound design is currently a tad whack. Songs will occasionally spike in volume, and some buildings have very annoying ambient default sounds that you can thankfully tweak in the settings. Still, the game's sound design and design overall needs a lot of work before I'll be willing to recommend NecroCity even at its current price of $15. So, in the end, NecroCity is currently less breathtaking city of the dead and more rural backwoods ghost town, and I left it simultaneously underwhelmed yet hopeful for its future. I'm giving the game a subject to change aggregate megascore of 2.57 out of 5, but I look forward to revisiting this silly city at full release. Until then, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.